And our special guest today on Absolutely Famous is former Marlborough Red Devils and King Country rugby loose forward Greg Brimble. Greg, of course, is our regular expert rugby analysis during the rugby season and lives in the beautiful New South Wales seaside town of Nowra, where he sells Jayco caravans. And Brims, they're running out the door, are they, the caravans?
Yeah, they are running out the door, mate. Very, very hard to secure one at the moment, unless you're prepared to buy something off the yard or order it from the factory. And there's a fair wait at the moment from the factory. But get in quick. Give me a bell if you're in the market for one. I'll always look after anybody that follows Absolutely Famous. They get priority. They get priority service, John.
Good stuff, and free coffee too, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, even though it's the middle of the cricket season, Brims, with the Big Bash winding up, there's plenty happening on the rugby scene, and the Australian rugby scene really has been sparked up big time with Eddie Jones replacing Dave Rennie already. Eddie's got rugby on the front page for the right reasons.
Yeah, yes, and I think that's the real benefit of having Eddie Jones there, and the selection of Eddie Jones is that he's put rugby back on the front page. He's a polarising character. He has polarised Australian rugby fans' opinion on his selection as the coach of the Wallabies, and especially under the circumstances in which that happened. But if there's one thing that Eddie Jones is good at is putting rugby first and foremost. And he's commented before that that you don't pick up a newspaper now or watch the sports news and see the Wallabies mentioned, even if they've played a Test match sometimes. So getting rugby back on the front pages and in the news is good.
Just to see him interacting in the crowd at the Sevens in Sydney was great. You know, he's talking to the kids, signing autographs, and I think, there'll be a honeymoon period for him, and I think that honeymoon will include the World Cup.
Yeah, well, don't ask Alan Jones what he thinks of him, because he thinks
yes.
Publicly said that Eddie Jones is a psychopath. So
yeah, I think that's one calling. Jesus.
Yeah. Look, he'll. I'm sure he'll be good. I think he's the right selection. I'm not happy with the way they went about it, and I feel for Dave Rennie, because I think Dave Rennie's a really good coach, but he didn't get the results, and it's a results performance-based game now, and that's just the way it goes. But I do believe that Australian rugby should have an Australian coaching them. I sincerely believe that, and Eddie Jones, I think, is the best person for that job. And we, as New Zealanders, we like to see the Wallabies performing well, even though there's a love-hate relationship there. Having Wallabies and Australian rugby strong is good for New Zealand rugby too, John.
Well, Eddie Jones has got a very good record at World Cups, and so have the Wallabies. They've won 2. They've lost 2 finals narrowly. And I noticed a lot of Kiwis poo-pooing Jones getting the job and saying they haven't got a show anyway. I wouldn't be saying too much. And Eddie's first target is the Bledisloe Cup, of course, which they haven't had, I think, since 2002.
Yes, it's a long time ago. I've got a nephew who's 21 who hasn't been alive since the All Blacks. Since the Wallabies last had the Bledisloe Cup, so it's a long time between drinks for them. But as they say, every game is a game closer to when they're gonna beat us in the Bledisloe series again, John. So all the best to them. I think it's good, mate.
So do I. I think it's a masterstroke personally. The Sevens teams, Brims, the men's and women's All Black Sevens teams, just triumphant in Sydney. What fantastic displays from both those sides to not only win their finals, but to absolutely annihilate the opposition.
Yeah, well, look, it started in Hamilton a couple of weeks ago when both the All Black Sevens and the New Zealand Black Ferns performed very well in Hamilton. The men lost their final, the cup final, 12-14 to Argentina, but the women beat USA 33-7 in a very dominant display, and that form carried on into Sydney, where a lot of pundits, including myself, expected the Australian teams to perform much better than they actually did. But on this occasion, it was the New Zealand men's and women's teams that carried their form through from Hamilton into Sydney and performed outstandingly with the Black Ferns Sevens beating France 35-0 in their final, and I think that the All Black Sevens victory over South Africa 38-0 against the Blitzboks, that was an outstanding performance from the men's sevens teams, and they're full of new superstars now, and seriously, I mean, Leroy Carter, the Bay of Plenty halfback, he's just been tremendous the last two tournaments. Aquila Roka-Lesoa, he's electric, the young Fijian. We've got a real up and comer in Roderick Solo, who rang Clark Laidlaw and said, "How do I become a New Zealand Sevens player?" And he said, "Turn up to training and do what we tell you." And he's a superstar as well. And of course, young Peyton Spencer, straight out of school, the son of the great King Carlos Spencer, the famous All Black, and he had an outstanding debut in his first international sevens tournament. So there is some real talent coming through, young talent coming through, and you look at the players that were unavailable that have been so good for New Zealand over the years: Regan Ware, Scott Curry, Andrew Newstub, and the great Tim Mickelson, all unavailable, and we still beat the Blitzboks 38-0. So that's great. And the Black Fern Sevens team, well, I tell you what, there's a real star coming through there, Johnny, and young 18-year-old Georgia Miller.
Oh, she's a freak, Brims. Not only is a running game dynamic, but just the way she puts players into gaps, and just her rugby nous is, for an 18-year-old, blows me away.
She's only 18, mate. Just like she's just a superstar. She is, and that bodes so well. And when you can take the headlines off the likes of Portia Woodman, Wycliffe, and Michaela Blyde, you're doing pretty good, I think. And that's just they're a wonderful team to watch, aren't they? The Black Fern Sevens. They run out with big smiles on their faces. They score a try. I mean, the Stacey Flula, the smile on her face when she scores, their inspirational leader and captain, Sarah Harini. They're just beautiful to watch, aren't they? And just such a great examples for young female sports people, girls coming through that want to represent their country.
Oh, I just get a buzz every time I watch them. You know, the smile gets me every time, but underneath that smile, mate, there's a steely determination that they're not going to lose. Don't worry about that. It's not a front, but they know when to play.
Well, the thing is, they're very determined and focused. They've got real clarity around their roles within the team. They know what they want to do. They're extremely well coached by Corey Sweeney now. And they enjoy what they're doing. They're enjoying their work. They're really going about their work in an enjoyable manner. But man alive, isn't women's rugby in a great place at the moment? I just love watching it. Straight on the back of our World Cup victory last year as well.
Yeah, it's fabulous. And with the men's World Cup 15s coming up, it's one heck of a year for Rugby Union. Very excited. And of course the Big Six Nations kicks off on the UK on Sunday morning, Brims, and Monday morning, and probably the feature match, England-Scotland for the Calcutta Cup. And Steve Borthwick, first test in charge of England, be very interested to see if the Poms can reverse last year's loss.
Yes, well, the coaching merry-go-round continues, doesn't it? Eddie Jones got sacked. Steve Borthwick, his assistant, rightly got the appointment as the new England coach, and immediately went about making some significant changes, including dropping Billy Vunipola and just recently Johnny Hill from the squad as well, who were both starters last year. So he's stamping his name on the squad. So that Calcutta Cup, Scotland won that last year. So England will be looking to reverse that. But Wales, Ireland first up. Warren Gatland, the new Welsh coach as well. He's taken them on. But the game I'm most looking forward to, John, is in round 2 of final week, and that's Ireland versus France. France were undefeated in the Six Nations last year and beat Ireland in effectively the final for the Six Nations title. So that is going to be the game to watch, and we'll get a fair idea of where both those teams are, I think, leading into this World Cup year, where both Ireland and France are up there as equal favourites in my books for the Rugby World Cup.
And the good thing is all the pressure's on those two teams, because whatever they achieved last year doesn't mean diddly squat this year. And, like everyone else, they'll have to evolve. One of the saddest things for me is for the Wales-Ireland game, the crowd aren't allowed to sing Delilah, Tom Jones's classic, anymore, because the words are offensive to somebody.
Well,
I'm not sure who.
Well, I'm offended by that, John.
And so am I.
that offends me, but don't get me started about being offended and offending people, because that's just ridiculous. That is. I mean, that's as ridiculous as lowering the bloody tackle height in community rugby in England to below the waist, where we're going to see half a dozen people knocked out every game. I mean, geez, you know how to stir me up, John.
Well, I mean, Delilah's one of my go-to with the hairbrush in the bathroom every time.
Absolutely. I mean, I've given that full voice at the Hong Kong Sevens, and that's Tom Jones is fantastic Welshman and a fantastic singer as well. That's criminal. We need to start a petition and get that decision reversed, John.
I agree. I'm going to make that our theme song now. And of course, the referees that in this competition, big time for them too, Brims. A lot of pressure on. Understand they've selected 15 refs for the tournament, and they're picking 12 refs for the World Cup, and among them is our former hometown man Ben O'Keefe, and money's on Ben to make it. He officiated in every single knockout game at the last tournament and did a great job.
Yeah, well, I think Ben, in my opinion, and I may be biased being a Blenheim boy as well, but he is the number one referee in the world, I believe. And there's a clip going around of him refereeing a French top 14 game on the weekend just gone, and he's speaking fluent French to both teams. I didn't even know anybody in Blenheim knew French.
No.
But he speaks fluent French. I mean, he is he's an exceptional talent. He's a fantastic referee, and it would be great to see him refereeing in the World Cup. Let's hope it's not in the World Cup final, because if it is, it means New Zealand didn't make it. Yeah,
exactly. And hopefully we're looking to catch up with Ben at the World Cup if he gets selected. And he told me also he's been selected to do, I think it's the final match of the competition, England-France, one of the feature matches. So I'm sure he's looking forward to that.
And that could be the deciding game for the Six Nations as well, depending on how Ireland go too. So I did have a good friend of mine ran into Ben O'Keefe over Christmas. Nigel Schultz ran into him at the playground next door to his house, and in Nigel's usual manner gave Ben O'Keefe a few tips on how to referee the game. So we'll see if that's had any effect.
And of course, the All Black coaching role, thankfully, the coach is going to be announced before the World Cup. I think it has to be, really. And the hot favourite, of course, Scott Robertson, and another Blenheim man, Jamie Joseph. But on our inside oil tells us that Jamie might not be interested.
No, and we were talking about this the other day after I was talking to you, John, about it. I touched base again with my secret mole, Nigel Schultz, in Blenheim, who knows Jamie particularly well, and the feeling is that certainly to date Jamie hasn't been overly interested in that All Black coaching position, and knowing Jamie like you do, and I to a lesser extent would know that Jamie would not want to get involved in a Dutch auction with Scott Robertson for the All Black coaching position.
No.
And I reckon Jamie will be going, you want me or you don't want me? Because I'm not playing games. I'm not going through the whole interview process and all the rest to be dumped like the other 47 blokes were. Last time you went through this process. If you want me, I'm in, and this is the coaching team I'm bringing with me, which I'm sure would include Tony Brown, quite possibly Leon McDonald. But I think Scott Robertson is probably the person that's going to get the job, and Jamie might leave it. He's still got age on his side. Jamie might leave it for another 4 years and before he looks at that role, perhaps.
One good thing about it, Brims, whoever we get, they'll have a lot better credentials than the current run we've got.
Well, let's hope he gets better results as well, John, because we need that. And quite frankly, at this stage, I can't see an exceptionally successful World Cup coming up for us in France. There's a fair chance we're going to get knocked out in the quarters, and I don't want to sound negative on it, but form would tell you that we're probably not going to, progress past the quarterfinals at the moment. Let's hope we do. But it will be interesting to see, won't it? And I think going back to the Six Nations, we'll see exactly where France and Ireland are at the moment. I think France is the team to beat myself.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of interest, as you just alluded to, about how Ireland and France, have they progressed their game? Have they gone back a bit? We'll soon find out.
Yeah, I think France is certainly still on that, on that upward growth curve at the moment. They've performed exceptionally well at the under-20 World Cups, and they've really grown the strength, and that's telling now. I think there's still some possible chinks in Ireland's armour. They're not always consistent enough for me, but they'll be up there at the end, along with the Springboks and the All Blacks, and I'm picking England and Australia as well, mate. Australia's got a good run in this World Cup.
Yeah, they have, and they're coming in with no expectations. Well, not from the outside world, anyway. Yeah. Thanks, Brims. Always great to talk to you, mate. And cricket-wise, I'll be cheering. Weekends be taken up by the Big Bash final in Perth. I'll be cheering for the Perth Scorchers, of course, and I think they'll do the job.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. There's a game tonight. I think it's the Heat and the Sixers.
Yep.
Brisbane Heat.
The winner of that plays the Scorchers.
Sydney Sixers. So that's on tonight. The winner of that will meet the Scorchers on Saturday night. So looking forward to that. You'd have to back the Scorchers at the moment, although I have got a soft spot for the Brisbane Heat. So let's see how they go. Of course, the Sixers will be missing some of their star players who have gone to India, but we'll see how they go.
Yeah, and the Heat and Optus Stadium, that beautiful stadium in Perth, they're expecting a sellout of about 51,000 people there. So beautiful stadium, Matt.
I'm really looking forward to that. I hope the game's on a little bit later. I hope they don't play it in the afternoon just to satisfy the East Coast audiences. But it'd be good if it started 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock sort of thing. And yeah, but looking forward to it. It should be a great sporting event, mate.
Absolutely. Well, exciting times for rugby too, Brims. Great to chat, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, mate. My pleasure.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers and all the best. Thank you.